Welcome to Boss Stuff Academy. We're gonna go over. I was at a SBA meeting on last Friday. They're giving us weekly updates, so that's why I'm doing these videos on Mondays to kind of keep everybody in the loop of what's going on with these stimulus packages. If while we're waiting for Facebook to build our audience, please do follow us on YouTube as well as Instagram and here on Facebook. Make sure that you turn your notifications on when we go live. I'm trying to get consistent with the days that I do go live. So that way, that way you can kind of know when I'm going live so you'll know what the updates are. These updates that I'm giving are straight from the SBA. So that way you will have the latest information. So we're going to go ahead and get started. I see that there are some people on here right now. The first thing I know that everybody wants to know that did not get their full $10,000 grant. If you did not get your full $10,000 grant, you can go back and apply for it once the portal opens for the grant. But there are a couple of new stipulations on you getting it. If you got, say, $2,000, where they're only going to probably give you $8,000 to make the $10,000. So what you have to do in that case is you can't have more than 300 employees. They reduced that number from 500 to 300 so that it was geared more to small businesses. You have to have a 30% decrease in revenue, and you have to be in a low income area. But be mindful, you can check with the census, check with your area. When they say a low income area, it's not what you typically think. There are certain guidelines, so don't just hear the word low income and automatically just think poverty-stricken areas, rural areas. I would suggest that you do check with, and they're using the census information to get to do this to determine which areas are considered to be low income for the rest of your grant. The next thing that I do want to discuss, if you have any questions, do drop them in the comments and I'll be glad to answer them to the best of my ability. If I'm unable to answer your questions, then what I will do is I will put your questions in the parking lot, get you an answer either by inbox or on my next video, because the question that you probably have is probably something else that somebody else can use as well. Also, when they start back the unemployment is going to only be $300 plus the regular unemployment, but they're going to backdate it back to January the 2nd. So they're going to make it retroactive. So you'll be able to get back pay for that. Also, and you can check with your unemployment portal. Some people that exhausted the 13 weeks, you still may be eligible. So I would highly encourage people, if you are unemployed, if you're self-employed and currently your business has put you out of work, because some people it's actually more cost effective for them to be closed than open, because actually their overhead is taking up more than they will actually be making. So some businesses are closed just because the overhead is too great to even be open, even though you can be open. So I would go in and apply for the unemployment benefits if that is indeed your case. Also, I wanted to, and I'm kind of reading from my notes here on the EDIL, and don't get it confused, because a lot of people are confusing PPP, which is the Paycheck Protection Program, with EDIL. EDIL is where you went into the SBA's portal directly on their website and applied for pandemic assistance. The portal is currently open, but it's open for people that did not apply the last time. They're asking that even if you were denied, that you don't go in there and make duplicate applications, because they'll be able to pick up your social security number. If you use your tax ID number, they'll be able to pick that up as well. So I'm going to put on the screen now the email address. This email address is where you want to go in if you already got an EDIL loan and you're looking for an increase. I will put increase in the subject, and I would email this email address, and they're going to ask you for your 4506T. That is the transcript to get your tax returns. That is the transcript to get your tax returns, because they want to know that you are a legitimate business and that you have been filing your taxes. So that email address that I just posted is where you will go for your increase on your EDIL loan. That has nothing to do with PPP. Do not get that confused. So I would go there, but I would send them the 4506T. If you don't know what a 4506T is, you can go to irs.gov, type in the search bar 4506T, and fill that out. And I would go ahead and be proactive rather than reactive or waiting for them to ask for it. Go ahead and send it with your request. So then that way you already be steps ahead of the game. Also, in your request, I would write a letter explaining to them why you are requesting additional funds. You can do that as a separate attachment, or you can do it in the body of the email that you have there. So I would do it as a separate attachment, sign it and date it, because that makes it kind of official rather than putting it in the body of the email, as to why you are requesting more funds and how much you are requesting, and go ahead and have that. I'm going to flash. Thank you, Tasha. I'm going to post the email again right now, so that way you can get it. I'm going to leave it on the screen as well for a second, just so that people that are logging on late have access to it. I think we do have one other question. What would you need document for the 30% decrease in revenue? I would have it on hand, but right now there is still things that they are unsure about and that they're still getting together with this. So I would make sure that I've got that, and I would, in case they ask for it. But like I said, with this, if you're asking for an increase in your EDIL, send it to that email address that's on the screen. Include the 4506T, which you can get from irs.gov, and then I would have a signed and dated letter explaining your situation and why you're requesting the funds. Also, another thing, because you're filling out that 4506T, I would make sure your taxes are done up to date. Not necessarily, because your 2020s are not due right now. So I wouldn't say have your 2020s done, but I would at least say be up to date as far as your 2019 go. They are requesting that you have already started this business back by February the 29th of 2020. So if you started a business in July, some of this stuff may not apply to you, because they want to know that you were in business for a certain period of time. I do have, I think that's pretty much all the questions that have been posted. But like I said, continue to post your questions, and I'm going to continue to go on through this. There is a thing for people that rent venues, where you might have, had a hotel and you had a conference room, or there are some people that rent, say, their studio out, and due to COVID, that is a venue. They are going to be offering up to $10 million in grants for people that were affected because they wasn't able to rent out their venue. If that's where the bulk of your money comes from. That grant is not open yet, but they are suspecting that they may have a website and they don't know if they're going to plug it into the government grants.gov website. So you need to look for it both places. But as I get the information, I will be passing it out as much as I can. So if you were, say, a band, a singer, a rap group, anybody that, goes out and perform, I would highly suggest that you apply for the grant. The grant is up to $10 million. And also the grant, you don't have to pay it back. So essentially, again, that's free money. But if you take the grant, the venue grant, now don't get it confused with the $10,000. If you take the venue grant, they're saying that you will not be able to get the second round of PPP. And somebody's asking me now about a lounge. Well, it depends on your setup of your lounge as to, is it a venue that you may have had promoters coming in and out of and they did not get to rent it. So it depends on your setup, your makeup. Also, with, I don't know if you have, because some lounges do include a kitchen. Some are just like a cigar bar with just drinks. They don't have a kitchen. So you need to figure out what's your best route. And I would read the guidelines, because now with the food industry, now let's get into PPP. That's your Paycheck Protection Program. And that is going to be through a bank or a credit card processing entity like PayPal or some of those other like Cabbage, different places like that. But then also you're going to have your bigger banks like Bank of America, Wells Fargo. They're going to be processing PPP. Well, if you're in the food industry, that means if you have a food truck, a restaurant, anything dealing with hospitality, they're going to do your PPP at 3.5 months worth of payroll. So you need to find out which is the better route for you to go based on your setup. Also, and just to give the people that, consider themselves to be quote unquote a venue, the grant for venues has a wider range of what you can use the funds for. So some people may opt to go that route if they've already gotten PPP the first time. So you need to figure out what your setup is and what's better going to benefit you and your business in order to decide which route you want to take with either getting the venue grant or getting PPP. Now, if you're not in the hospitality business or industry, and then you're going to be doing your PPP, you can do a second round of PPP. That application has not opened yet. I don't know if anybody that's doing it for first timers, but they're suspecting that first timers will have the PPP available to them before the second rounders. So let's talk about the people that's going to do the second round of PPP. I would suggest you go back to where you originally did your PPP, because they already have a lot of your documentation on file and the process will probably be more streamlined. So I would say in close contact with say the portal that you may have gone through to apply for PPP, because a lot of these people, because they're being so get massive amount of calls with people calling, you may not get someone on the phone. So it may be better for you to watch their portal rather than you trying to place a phone call, unless you have a personal relationship with the person that helped you with your PPP, or if you have a personal relationship with that particular entity, with someone there at that entity. Because like I said, a lot of these places are not answering the phone just because they don't want to keep answering the same redundant questions. So it's better just to watch their portal. Also, if you're applying for the first time, go on these sites that I've mentioned, and you can put your application in there. You can contact our office. We will be glad to assist you with the process when it's available to us to do that with the people that we have partnered with, and we don't mind assisting in that process. So just be mindful that if you did not get it the first time, you will be able to do that, but they're going to be comparing your 2019 to your 2020, and you got to pick the same quarter. That's going to be the same thing for people, but they don't know right now what documentation is going to be required to show the 25% decrease in revenue. But most people are predicting that you should be using either your first quarter of 2020 or your second quarter of 2020, because most people, when the pandemic really hit, we were towards the end of the first quarter, going into the second quarter. So that may be your greatest months of reduced revenue. So you have to be able to show 25%. That is not the same as on EDIL, where it's 30%. So don't get it mixed up or confused between the two. So I would highly suggest that you do that. And then like I said, as we get more things, we will let you know. But the people in the food industry, they're really going to look out for you this time, just because they know that either you weren't able to be open, or you were not able to be open to capacity, or a lot of times you were not able to operate regular business hours due to curfews and different things like that. So that's why they have decided to increase that. Also, if you got the first round of PPP, you can, if you got under $150,000, there's going to be a one-pager certification that you're going to need to do, so that way the loan can be forgiven. Don't forget to do that part. It's not too late. Actually, a lot of places have not confirmed the one-page certification yet. So, but do, as you apply for your second round, don't be mindful to get that one-page certification, so that way it can cancel your last PPP loan. Also, this time on PPP, you can use it for bookkeeping. There's a wider range of things that they will allow you to use the PPP loan. The PPP loan, again, that's the Paycheck Protection Program. Again, that's the Paycheck Protection Program. I do have another question. Do you use the decreased 25% to calculate your monthly 2.5 times? Right now, we do not have that information. So as to how they're going to distribute that, so you need to make sure you confirm that with the person or the entity where you're getting that. It's just saying that you need to pick that quarter, but how they're going to determine the 2.5 months of income, I'm not sure about that. So I would not speak on that, but I would just highly advise you to make sure that you go through the application wherever you decide to apply, and make sure you got a full understanding of what they're requesting from you. So that way that you can do that, because I don't know if they're going to, because you had, and that's off of your gross receipts. That's not off of your payroll. The 25% decrease is off gross receipts. Gross receipts that's before you pay any vendor, before you pay any utilities. Your gross receipts is the income that actually came into your business in dollars, through credit cards, cash, whatever. That is your gross receipts. Don't get your gross receipts mixed up with your net, and don't get your payroll, because some people still, or their payroll may have been more. So you need to make sure that you got a clear understanding of what the application is asking for, what's required prior to starting the application, because you don't want to put wrong information in and then essentially deny yourself of funds that you could have, or additional funds that you could have been getting for yourself or your business. So I would highly suggest that you read everything prior to starting the application and doing the application. If you have questions, I would reach out to that entity either by email, because like I said, a lot of places are not going to be answering the phone. So you need to make sure that you have a clear understanding of what you're doing, because you don't want to essentially deny yourself of funds, but at the same time, you don't want to commit fraud either, because they are taking that very seriously. And I know we've been talking about EDIL, the grants, the PPP, most people are interested in, but don't forget that they have that 7A Express loan, that SBA has other loans that they've been offering prior to the pandemic, that they just offer straight through SBA through their partner lenders. So don't forget that if you are in a financial need for funds and these are actual loans, that you can take out some of these loans and the government actually will pay your payments due to COVID for 6 months to a year. So don't just get all involved with the pandemic stuff, but don't be mindful that the SBA does offer other loans, and then they have some loans to get you funding that are under $25,000, and they don't require you to have any collateral or anything like that. So you may want to take advantage of some of the opportunities that they have through the SBA that were out here way before the pandemic happened, that people just did not take advantage of. So I would highly suggest that you go through and you read through SBA's website to become more familiar with them and their programs. Also, they have links to partner lenders. Reach out to some of those partner lenders and get an understanding of what they require in order for you to get a loan through them for other things, because remember, the pandemic funds are not for business expansion. So don't get confused with that. The pandemic funds are to be used to help you get over this hump due to difficulties as a result of the pandemic. But some people are looking to expand their business because 2020 was a great year for them. So I would look into some of the other programs and partner lenders that the SBA has to offer for business expansion, because like I said, you don't want to get into the misuse of funds and then they call you or you get audited and then you got a bigger mess, because remember that the SBA is connected to the government. So they're not going to be like your traditional lender. They can freeze your bank accounts, they can get your tax returns, and you could just be in the world, you could be in a worse shape than you started with. So I just tell everybody just to be upfront, honest, and do the best that you can to get what's available to you. Also, do not forget to look at your local government where you are located, whatever town, county, township that you are in, because some of these local governments are offering different things to businesses for COVID-19 relief. So you may want to talk to your council people in your area to find out exactly what it is. Some water companies were waiving registration fees or waiving a month of trash, different things like that. So you want to make sure that you're getting every benefit. I would highly encourage you to go on the internet and Google COVID relief funds, COVID relief grants, and apply for them, because a lot of private entities, larger businesses are offering grants and different things to smaller businesses. And if you're not registered with LISC.org, I would highly suggest you get registered with them so that you can get their email notifications. Also, South Carolina Stay, they've got their pre-website up. That's for if you need mortgage or rent help. That's on your personal private residence. So if you need that help, and they could pay your mortgage or your rent up to 6 months. So that portal is going to be open in February. Most states have it, and that's what they're doing, is using the local government to disseminate the information. So go to your state housing website if you feel as though you need assistance with your personal primary residence, rent, or mortgage, depending on what you're doing. And I would suggest you apply for that. Don't be too eager or have too much of an ego to help you get you through this time. I know a lot of people are saying they're good, but there's another strand of COVID that they're saying that's going to be more deadlier, easier to contract, that's going to be coming, and it's going to take over in March. So you just don't know where you're going to land with this whole thing. So I encourage everybody to be proactive rather than reactive, because you don't want to try to get your ship out of the water when you're already sinking. So I would highly encourage that you spend at least an hour a day, and especially if your business is shut down, you need to be out here sourcing for money every single day. And some people may be against this, but I would encourage you to apply for credit cards. It does not necessarily mean that you have to use them, but that may be a safety net for you in the upcoming months. And you want to do things while your credit or your business credit is still good, so that you will have that available resources to you financially, because you want to come out of this better than you were before, or at least in the shape that you were in. So like I said, put your pride aside, go after everything that is available to you that you need. I'm not saying abuse the system, but do use it to your advantage to do what you need to do to stay afloat in this time of crisis and need. There's going to be another call on Friday, so I'll update you again. And if some of these portals open during the week, make sure you have your notifications on. Make sure you're following us for all the stimulus updates, and we'll be posting to let you know where to go, how to get it. The information is free for us, so we just want to give it to you because we want to help people, especially small businesses like myself, to overcome this hurdle financially, emotionally, because it's causing a lot of depression, anxiety for a lot of people. And like I said, you want to be ahead of the game.